Hi class. Today I'm going to talk about stuff. More specifically, I'm going to talk about matter, which is defined as anything that has mass and takes up space. As a human being living on our planet, we're all fully aware of what the stuff around us is made out of. For example, this scarf is made out of cotton, this bottle is made out of glass, and this candy is made out of sugar. Boy, what if I was to take it a step further and ask you what sugar was made out of? Unless you've taken a chemistry class before, most likely you would have to look it up on your smartphone. And you would see that the chemical formula for sugar is C12H22O11. This means that sugar is made out of the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Elements are the smallest building blocks of matter and make up everything in our world. Everything can be broken down into its elements. However, elements cannot be broken down any further. You can find all 118 elements on the periodic table of elements here. So now that we understand that most of the stuff around us that has mass and takes up space is considered matter, and that matter is made out of elements, let's talk about how we can characterize, classify, and describe matter in our world. All matter has both physical and chemical properties. Physical properties are properties that can be observed or identified without changing the chemical composition of the substance. Chemical properties are properties that are observed when a substance is under a specific set of conditions, which does change the chemical composition. So physical properties, the chemical composition isn't changed. In chemical properties, the chemical composition is changed. So now you're probably wondering, what's a change in chemical composition? Well, to answer that question, let's take a look at water, the most common molecule in the human body. Everyone knows the chemical formula for water is H2O. Now, think of this as a blueprint for a water molecule. A water molecule is always going to have two hydrogens and one oxygen atom. If this changes at all, the chemical composition of water has changed. So think about it this way when you're thinking about physical and chemical properties. Think about this water molecule. And with physical properties, you're always going to see this structure. It's always going to remain the same. It's not changing. But in chemical properties, the structure will change completely, and it'll be a completely different substance and no longer water. You know what physical properties and chemical properties are? Let's take a look at some examples. Most people are aware that this is a quarter, and that a quarter is made out of metal. But how do we know that it's made out of metal? It's because we're aware of the physical properties the metal has. For example, most metals are metallic, which means that they're shiny on the outside. Also, most metals have a silver color to them. So luster and color are two physical properties of this quarter, or metal. Also, most metals are more dense than liquids, which we can see whenever the quarter goes to the bottom of this glass of water. Another physical property of metal is that it's very malleable, which we can see in this aluminum foil. Metal has the ability to be created so that it's super, super thin. Aluminum foil is also great for baking and cooking because it has a high heat retention, which is another property of metal. So now that we've talked about physical properties, let's turn around and talk about chemical properties. One example of a chemical property that we've almost all witnessed is oxidation. This occurs whenever a metal reacts with water and oxygen to form a completely new substance called rust. Other chemical properties include if a substance is flammable, combustible, toxic, or radioactive. So let's summarize what we've learned today. We've learned that the stuff around us that has mass and takes up space is known as matter, and that matter is made up of tiny building blocks called elements that we can find on the periodic table of elements. We've also learned that we characterize and we classify matter based on both its physical and its chemical properties. Physical properties are the properties that we can observe and identify without changing the chemical composition of a substance, and chemical properties are ones that we can observe when the chemical composition changes and a new substance is created. Thanks so much for listening today. See you soon, class. Bye.